It's that time again. Time to flip through my 2023 bullet journal. Okay, we're gonna get straight into it. I've already done a video on the specs of this notebook and what I think of it as a bullet journal. I'll leave that linked for you if you're into the technical stuff, but let's go ahead and open her up and flip through my 8th bullet journal. Okay, this is our first page. I decorated this inside cover with tentacles because I love them, and I just thought it was a really cool inside cover page. I did change out this photo here with a new photo, but I really liked this pocket and that I could change out what photo I wanted right there in the beginning. Have a place for contact information, though this journal really didn't leave the house that much this year. Flipping over, have the key, which I don't think I flipped back to once, sizes to remember, which I did not add anything to, and the index, which I also did not use very much. Have the yearly introduction page to the yearly spreads. And one of my favorite sections of any bullet journal is the year in Polaroids. And so every month I just choose a photo out of my phone and print it out on a Polaroid. And if it wasn't at home, I did note where the photo was taken, but a lot of them are gonna be wedding related this year. And then we have the future log where I notate any events and or meetings that are not in the current month. And this worked out pretty well this year. I had a separate section for birthdays, so it didn't muck up this area, and I thought that worked perfectly. Here I have the when did I last. This is reusable, and I've already migrated these dates over to my 2024 yearly journal. And then down here I have my long-term at some point task list, and then all the travels that we took in 2023. Here we have my admin day. I usually do an admin day on Mondays, and this checklist is reusable. So every week I come back and I erase this and then start anew with the checklist. And then just some ideas and random musings there. This whole page is the whiteboard page, and I usually use this in conjunction with admin day, just writing down quick notes or quick math figures and money stuff. And I usually just use this section for that. Here we have period tracker, my 2023 focus areas, and things to check out. This was a page that I added later on, and this was an Amazon book buy list. And I used this to write down things that I wanted to order from Amazon, but I didn't necessarily need it at that moment. And so I would just order a chunk of things at a time, thinking that I would have less boxes, but Amazon be playing. And even though I order 3 or 4 things in the same order, they still come on different days in different boxes. So I ended up not using it after I realized that was going to be the case. And then these next few pages are blank because I left them blank at the beginning of the year in the event I wanted to make some other sort of yearly spreads, but that did not happen. So we have a blank spread here before we get into January. January's theme was a vintage ribbon stamp sky theme. It was just kind of a mishmash. I just wanted to do this light monochromatic airy theme, and so this is what I went with here. Trust the magic of new beginnings. We flip it over here, we have the calendar. I still really love this sky painting with the ribbon. All of this is gouache, all of these little paintings here. move into the dashboard and habit tracker. Weekly spread. I'm actually surprised that I painted something every week. And then we move on to February, which was this ghostly Valentine theme. And I used color pencils for this one, which was really fun. I usually don't use color pencils and I'm not sure why, but this month I decided to experiment with those. And I really love how it turned out. Have a little Dutch door straight out the gate for the cover page. And you flip it over. I can't remember, let's see what I have in here. I thought it was gonna be like a letter to myself. Yeah, it was a self-love thing that I just didn't finish or go back to. And then I have my currently inked in here as well. Monthly calendar page. Dashboard. This is really fun. I did do for a while a sentence about the show or movie that we watched to help me remember and to just see what was important enough to make it into the one sentence. Getting into the weekly spreads here. Oh, this is a double-sided task list there. Guess so I could move it around. Then we get into March. March was a watercolor umbrella theme, and I remember these being super easy to paint. And I think that's kind of a theme overall this year. Most of the themes, especially from here on out, are relatively simple just because this was just a crazy year. I was prepping for a wedding. We went to Europe twice. It was just a crazy year. So I wanted to keep the bullet journal themes as simple as I could, unless I just happen to have a nice amount of time and wanted to put that time into some more time consuming themes. But I still really love this quote here. Ooh, I have a weekly breakdown here. I think this is the only month that I did this. Dashboard here and my currently inked, I'm sure. Yep. Currently inked. Have a spring clean here, which I'm sure we did more than this. I just didn't revisit this checklist as often as I usually do. Oh, and this spread, I used some stickers that I had in the Etsy shop. I'm not sure if they are still in there, but I will leave the link for my Etsy shop down in the description. And I know that there are some stickers of these watercolor umbrellas. In April, the theme was Disney Dreamlight Valley because I was super obsessed with this game. I still do really love it. I just don't play it as much because I don't have the time to commit. There's just so many things you can do. You can go sim style and just build things. You can do the quests. You can play this like board game chess-like thing. There's just so much you can do, and I just get a little overwhelmed trying to do the most with a little bit of time, but I still really do love this game, and this was a fun theme. And the monthly spread. Dashboard, and here's an example of how I, as a graphic designer, typically use these reusable sections. I am most of the time writing in color codes for style guides and things like that. So that's what we are seeing here. And then I have my currently inked in here. I'm just curious, what was inked up? I have this many pens inked up. That seems excessive. Okay. And we get into the weeklies. This is just a packing list, okay? Yeah, okay, so these are the only 2 days that are part of the weekly, and then I just have kind of craziness preparing for a trip to Florida and Texas. And then for May, this theme was inspired by our upcoming trip where we went to Denmark, the Netherlands, Germany, and I kind of took elements from all of those countries and made this theme. And I really love the colors here. Still really love this windmill situation. Dashboard that's barely used. And then into the weeklies. I really like that I used brown as the main color here instead of the black. Like, it doesn't look as severe. It looks nice and relaxing for some reason, and I really like that. And then since we were on a trip for a nice chunk of May, I don't have many weekly spreads. It just goes right into June. And I'm pretty sure I set this up maybe a day before we left. And so I wanted something super simple for June. And so I went with this chocolate chip cookie theme. I found a pattern online and licensed the image, and then I just made that my main image throughout. But I do really love this quote, and I do really love how this turned out. Even though it's super minimal, didn't take much thought, I just thought it turned out pretty good. And then I did watercolor these cookies a few months before this and made stickers out of them. And so I do have some watercolor food stickers in the shop as well if you like these, if you're a cookie enthusiast. And then June is my birthday month, and I turned 36, and so I wrote 36 things that I'm grateful for in no particular order. Birthday week. Okay, June was a fountain pen theme, and I really, really, really love this cover page. I'm still super obsessed with this very large Esterbrook-esque fountain pen painting, and it was way easier than it may look. I was just dabbing in the shape of a fountain pen, but yeah, I really enjoyed making this cover page happen. And this is the month where I started to get a little picky on the paper here, because the paper isn't coated. It's pretty it's multimedia paper, so not ideal for fountain pens. And of course, with this month being a fountain pen theme, I was using my fountain pens. I can't remember what was going on here and why I was not using my journal here. I think, oh, okay, so I remember now. So I set up these 2 weeks, possibly in that plan with me video, and by time we got to those weeks, I was not feeling this paper anymore. And so, oh no, okay, so yeah, this is chaotic, sorry. I was starting to think about my 2024 planner, and I was looking into the Sterling ink planner, and Catherine, she had her pre-order ridiculously early, like maybe this month, July, maybe August, I can't remember. But I wanted to see if I could work with the vertical layouts, because notoriously I don't like vertical weeklies, but I was like, I really want to use Tomoe River paper. I really want to use my fountain pens and be a happy camper in my planner. So I just abandoned these weeklies and hopped into a vertical weekly. I just copied the Sterling ink weekly to see if I could stand it. So I think for a while you'll see some vertical weeklies, and it wasn't terrible. I just typically don't like multi-lines for one bullet point, for one task box. So here I go again. I do have these stickers available in the shop. Here again with the vertical weekly. Saw Oppenheimer, so I have a cute little sketch there. Okay, this is where things get a little, maybe delusional, maybe a little crazy, but I was getting tired of this paper at this point. It was just like not working out, and I was wanting to use my fountain pens. Again, this is where I do the bulk of my writing, and the experience, I wasn't enjoying it the way that I knew I could. So I just took some, I think this is Endless Regalia paper, and I have a big notepad of that, and I just ripped some notepad paper, cut it down, and just pasted it in. And so I think for a good chunk of this notebook going forward, there's gonna be just straight up pages glued on pages. But I really do like this weekly. All right, let's get into August. This theme was a surrealism theme, and the idea was to keep the monthly pages in the beginning all black and white, and then kind of go wild for the weekly spreads and just have fun with those, and I'll show you how those turned out. But here is the monthly calendar. I have some wedding task list things in here, just some other papers, notes. And then here again, all of this middle section glued in fountain pen paper. And you can just see these weeklies are so chaotic. Yeah. Crazy, crazy. This is how okay, we're getting very close to the wedding. I got married at the end of September. This is a representation, I guess, of like my mind, because this is crazy, and then this, like, ridiculous. Okay, and then September, I was not in this journal. I was in a TN insert just because we were moving around a lot. And I do have a video setting that up and showing that off, and I will link that for you. But the next video that comes out on the channel should be a flip through of all of my wedding planning, inserts, and memory keeping, and all of that. So in my actual bullet journal, I just have some photos and just this one spread of this for September, and then it moves right into October, which I didn't even do a cover page for just because chaos, of course, chaos. But I thought of this as like the cover, and the theme was sort of these like pastel goats and pizza, pastel pizza, because we were going to Italy for the honeymoon, but it was also Halloween time, so it was my way of kind of mixing all of that together. So this pastel ghost and pizza theme. Notes, which didn't use very much of. First weekly, again, fountain pen paper is pasted in here. I really love this spread, and I think it might be because of this blue ink, and I'm 95% sure this is Noodler's Turquoise of the Mesas, which is one of my favorite blue inks. Okay, here is where my extra ephemera came to live after the honeymoon. I did a whole accordion insert memory keeping. Again, I'll show you these things next video, but I had some larger ephemera, some receipts left over, and so I put those in here. The restaurant we went to, and I added a picture of us here. Just a fun little memory keeping spread. And then here is the November theme. Again, really simple utensil theme, and then just use watercolors to put little circles on some of them, super easy. And I put the habit trackers here so I can come back and look at this really cute cover page, but I totally bailed on my habit trackers, and I wrote that here, bailed on this. This is where I planned out Christmas gifts and cards, and then right into the weeklies. December's theme was another ribbon theme, and I just thought that it would be very cute and serendipitous to sort of end and wrap up the year with a similar theme as the beginning of the year. But red, because Christmas. And then here I used the same quote, "Trust the magic of new beginnings." Here I have the ink vent calendar all filled out here. And this was so fun. It's my first year doing the Diamond ink vent. And if you don't know what that is, definitely follow me on Instagram, because every day I did a reel opening the ink vent. But every day you get a little 12 milliliter bottle of ink, and you don't know what it is. It's like an advent calendar, but for ink, and it's amazing. And I don't know how they keep coming up with colors every year, but here it is. Love it. Dashboard, which I just totally bailed on the 2024 prep box, but you know. We have a Christmas spread where I just wrote down what we're gonna do for our Christmas dinner, which was a brunch theme this year, and some Christmas notes that came with gifts, and Void Week, which is the week between Christmas and New Year's. And I just had a ton of ideas for what I wanted to do and just wrote them all out here. Then into the weeklies. And here I just gave up on pasting in the fountain pen paper because I was like, last month in here, it's fine. And we will suffer. And then back here after the weeklies, I have my Spotify Wrapped. I like to do a spread or at least a page for my Spotify Wrapped every year. And so I have my top artists, my top songs, how many minutes I listened, top genre, top album here. So yeah. In October, we went to the Colorado Pen Show. It was my first pen show, and so I just have some ephemera that we picked up there, some photos. I saw the eclipse with Kirk's Spear of Pen Realm. I got several of my pens worked on, and during one of the appointments, it was the exact same time as the eclipse. So we like ran out together, watched the eclipse, and came back, and he finished up my pens. So I just have a bunch of business cards in here and pictures hanging out and nerding out with pen friends, and that was just a good time. I have a whole recap about the Colorado Pen Show, the pens I got, the nib work that I got done by Kirk, and yeah. And then this is me kind of wrapping up my focus areas, just kind of reflecting on every category and rating myself and giving myself an average and a score of how I did with my focus areas. In December, I also participated in the very first Atlas Stationer's ink swap. And so I took a picture of the things that I got from my Secret Santa and put the letter in here. I got some really great inks, one of which I've already used up. And I just love this handwriting. Ugh. And then in here, it's just happy mail from friends and packages that I got, notes from packages that I got during December. And then the rest of this is basically brainstorming and meeting notes and trying to figure out what I wanted to do for January. You will see a lot of this 2024 planner final, 2024 planner ideas, because I did go down a deep, dark spiral trying to figure out what I wanted to do for 2024. 2024 planner and journals again, 2024. Yeah. This is, again, trying to figure out planner stuff. And then back here, I have my Big Brother spread. Love Big Brother, have loved it since it came out. And so this was this year's Big Brother cast and some alliances and like week by week, who was HOH, who had the veto, who was evicted, all of this stuff, and spoiler, winner there. So it's just really fun for me to do. Back here, more journal stuff. And then in the very back, I have a place to like just see what my sticker ideas look like here and just kind of play around with those. I have a little tab for pen tests, which filled up so quickly. It's even back here. I think this is from Denmark. Yeah, it's just something I stuck in there. And then in the back, per usual, there's just stickers and postcards and cards I get for my birthday and for the wedding, and just little notes and best wishes for the new year and that type of thing back here. Fountain pen inks, notes. So yeah, that is my 2023 bullet journal. Look how thick she is. I did not think that it would get thick like this, but here we are, and this is an entire year in one journal, which is amazing. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for watching. Let me know what your favorite themes were. Let's talk about anything bullet journal in the comments. I'm always down for that. So if you want to see where I went after this bullet journal, I know I was doing a lot of complaining about the paper and things like that. If you want to see where I went for 2024 and setting that all up, I'll leave that linked for you right here. It's kind of like a bullet journal, kind of not. It's like bullet journal with less work. I'll leave that for you here, but thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.